Hello, luminaries. I'm really excited to introduce April Millar, Taurus Sun, Virgo Moon, and Leo Rising leader. I really enjoy working with April. She is absolutely a natural and brilliant astrologer who has an amazing story. She's also part of the first cohort of the AstroBrand certification. So, welcome, April.
You. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness, you're always like so like just gung ho and like full of smiles. And like every time we had like a group meeting, whether this for the certification or trainings before, your enthusiasm just like really lit up the entire community. I guess that's your Leo rising.
Oh. Right? I know. And that actually was a beautiful lesson to learn because I feel like, sometimes the too big or the too much or whatever, but really just like leaning into like, oh, that like, no, my Leo rising really loves to show up and with things that I feel really excited about. And
Yeah.
really that's the key is man, especially with you and the classes and then the certification, it really did ignite just this fire and this passion in me. So like I couldn't help myself, honestly. So that's the case.
Well, before we dive in, into your full story, could you just tell us a little bit about who you are, your business that you have, and who you serve?
Yes. So my name is April. And so I have a like a business partnership with one of the other cohorts. It's called the Wise Woman World. And we have a couple of like pillars. One of them being retreats, one of them being business coaching, group business coaching, one of them being a community, and then one of them being we actually how we started was new moon and well new and full moon ritual workbooks that
Yes.
are just like on a subscription basis. So that is my main and central focus is that business. And really that all started because I met my business partner through through you, through the community.
Yeah.
And it was has been so amazing. But then I also I still do one-on-one readings as well. And so my Instagram is April Ascending, and I personally love parenting astrology. I have 5 kids, and so really when opened up the doors to astrology, it really was this like immediately wanting all of my kids as charts and trying to understand them, and it really helped me become a better parent. And because of that, I was like, oh, this could change the world. If we as parents actually treated our children and raised our children according to them instead of just shooting in the dark, then
Yeah.
it can we can like raise a whole generation of people who aren't initially traumatized. So,
Right.
and there's also the relief of like sometimes the I guess a big thing for me was also understanding that like looking at my kids' charts and seeing how their filters of me and my
Mhm.
the parenting of me and not taking it personally, being like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, this is how they're experiencing me. And so I don't have, even though I am showing up the very best I can, they most likely will see me this way. And
Yep.
I could just let it go.
Yeah. Well, I think your story is super fascinating, right? So you mentioned, the trauma that you experienced, and we can only assume by that sentence that you experienced trauma growing up because you're like you got to fit into this one particular mold, which is one story that I want you to share. But the other story about like you having 5 different kids who all have very different experiences of you, and you getting to like cater to their needs to like raise them in terms of like who they are meant to be, who they are born to be, the soul path that they chose.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And yeah, yeah.
And I think that's really important because you have your moon Jupiter opposition and you have Jupiter in its home sign of Pisces. But as we know, there's like those shadows as well as those bright parts of that Jupiter about belief systems, especially with spirituality. And I find that you have one of the most magnificent journeys to astrology because you come from a very restrictive religious background.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Actually, it is kind of surprising where I am, actually. So, I mean, do you want me to tell what religion?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, absolutely. Tell your
Okay.
story because I feel like this is the root of why you do what you do.
Yeah, no, and it's absolutely true. And the beautiful thing is I can see it in the chart. And so it feels so validating to be like,
Yeah.
I didn't just throw everything away. I didn't just because there, with a high demand religion, um, oh, there's so much brainwashing, there's so much gaslighting, there's so much messaging that like if you don't do it this way, then you will be all sorts of things,
You
right?
don't get your planet.
Yeah, yeah. You don't get to be with God. You don't get to be with your family. You don't get to have a life after this that is worth living, essentially. And so there was so many questions around the like, am I being deceived? Am I throwing it all away? Am I gonna is my family's eternal salvation? Am I literally just like I just threw everybody down the drain? Like it really did feel like this like constant like what am I doing? But really when I understood so really okay to give it a little bit of context. I grew up Mormon and excuse me, not just Mormon. We're talking like a direct descendant of Hiram Smith, which is the brother of the prophet Joseph Smith, who started the religion in two ways. Like I'm a direct descendant through two of his, well, ugh, we'll talk about incest there too, but whatever, right? So, but it was the prophet line and the patriarch line. So I have this, and I grew up as a Smith. I grew up as a Smith, and it was like, you're special. You're the Smith. You have the blood of the prophets. Like so much of this like specialness in me because of just my
Genetics.
genetics. Yeah, my lineage. And I believed them, which is great because there is this level of like believing that I'm God's favorite. And I I love that part about me actually. However,
Own
however,
it.
right? Might as well believe people are your favorite or you are people's favorite because you just work through life better that way. But it was, I think 2020 when I first met you, or like I had a class with you
Yeah.
from a business group that I was in, and you did a special like class, and I was floored. I was floored. I was like, what is this? I need this in my life. And so I started following you on Facebook, and then I did get I think an ad for your initial what is now Astrology 101 class.
Uh-huh.
And I took and like the overwhelming sensation of like take this class. And so I took the class and I mean Leslie, you will remember I knew nothing. I knew nothing. And yet like I could not get enough.
Yeah.
And as I learned from you and as I got myself involved in your community and in your classes, I it felt like a remembering. It felt like I was like uncovering things that were really hidden deeply in there. And it really allowed me to it helped reorganize my foundation inside of myself
Mhm.
because forever my foundation was the church and
Yeah.
it's the rock is the church is your rock, Jesus is your rock, it's all outside of me. And when I came into astrology it was like this is you, and it literally turned me inward. And my connection with a higher power, that Jupiter opposite the
Yeah.
moon, like I literally everything became now this like understanding of myself
Yeah.
instead of just like, here's the box, fit into it. This is the only way God loves you.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, here's you. Don't you love you?
Yeah.
And it was the most liberating thing. And then it was crazy because in my community of like church people, I was still going. I was still like, because I saw
Yeah.
nothing wrong with it. There was nothing in astrology that was against
Yeah.
whatever was being taught. Nothing. And um, and then I had church members that would be like trying to get to know me or whatever and be like, hey, what are you interested in? What are your hobbies? What are your interests? And I'd say astrology and tarot cards. And they would like, it would shut the conversation down
It's like
because,
your horns would start to show or
yeah,
something.
yes. And then I started getting anonymous emails and letters and then there was a whole essentially witch hunt where one of the top leaders in the area said over the pulpit to a group of men that there are members of the congregation that are turning toward to they didn't even say astrology actually. It was tarot cards and Ouija boards. And I was like, wow, they got their information wrong. But turns out it was me. They were talking about me, and he said it over the pulpit to a bunch of men. I wasn't even in this meeting. And then anyway, it was this witch hunt where I was like, oh my gosh. And then I found out it was about me, and I was like, I could be excommunicated. And it was the most liberating thing because I was like, it doesn't matter. These people outside of me that don't know me at all, like I know me. I know me and I know my connection. And quite literally, them taking my membership had would literally change nothing.
Yeah.
And it was so, yeah,
Yeah.
nothing but freeing. It was amazing.
I want to reflect back on a bunch of things that you shared because, this is like one of those stories, whether it's like I love how you say the high demand religion or like a family or society or like the culture that you're raised in, where there's like this kind of external validation, right? Like fit in, conform this way, lead this way, look this way, behave this way, shape your body this way, curl your hair this way, whatever it is, right? That's saying, we're going to only accept you. We're only going to validate you from these external forces. And what you are saying is like, oh my gosh, when I saw my astrology, there was like, I could see that all of this comes from the internal validation. And April, I just like leave it to you because, like, I mean, that like to be witch hunted, to have been like threatened, like, not everybody can just like be so gracious with a smile on their face and go, what does it matter? My life wouldn't change. Sure, excommunicate me. Right. And
Right?
so
In a
like
community that would be like, kill her.
like brava, April.
Thank you. Thank you. And actually it really it has been it has been okay
Mhm.
because I have a community
Yeah.
that I do feel so deeply connected and that I can be myself with, that I know love and support and are part of me. Yeah, they totally accept me for me instead of me in a box. So that's why it's been okay. So
Community, having people that love and accept you. I remember when you were going through those times, we talked about like the witch wounds a lot and things like that. And
yeah.
it was really moving to watch you. And I'm so thank you for sharing that journey because, you came to astrology, you found me at a time you didn't know anything about astrology. You were still in your high demand religion. And, a religion and astrology totally go hand in hand from the astrological perspective. Religion perspective doesn't necessarily think that astrology is an additive because we, like self validate.
Right? Can't have that.
But I saw you just like, yeah, this insatiable, like, I want to learn more, I want to learn more. But also, you had a natural like knack for it. Like, you just picked up on everything so quickly. You quickly found your voice, you quickly found your language. And I want to know, like, what inspired you to like go all the way to certification, AstroBrand certification.
Right? Honestly, it didn't even cross my mind that there was another way, just because it just felt so right. And it's true. It's been like everything that you've offered, it's like I'm in. I'm in. It as far as the know, like, and trust aspect of you, I'm like, yes, yes, always and forever. So, but I will say as far as like going to certification, it was interesting because I did meet you when I was releasing a business. I
Mhm.
was a doula for 10 years. I had a business where I was teaching childbirth education. I had labored or had manufactured labor gowns with my sister. This was all a business with my sister. And her life was major shifting, which beautiful understanding now. Like it's so fun to look back on things
Yeah.
that you don't know why. And then, but she was right in the middle of her Pluto square.
Yeah. Her
So she,
midlife, one
and
of her midlife
one of
transits.
her midlife transits. And again, not knowing anything at the time, but she was like, I just like, I feel like I need my to feel my feelings. I need to go to therapy. Things are wrong, like all of this stuff. Like, and again, she was in a midlife transit, not knowing that, but she was like, I need to step away from the business. I wasn't as passionate about it. And I felt like, okay, and really that's what drew me to you because it was business astrology and your whole messaging is like build your structure of your business on you. And I really just I was looking for somebody to tell me what I needed to do. If was it this? Was it this? Like, should I buckle down and do it by myself and force it, or was it something else? And so when I came to you and started learning, it was just again, there wasn't like a definite like I knew that I knew I could do either, but at the same
Mhm.
time, it was like where um and really it was knowing my chart, my Leo rising, my sun in the 10th house, my Aries midheaven, and all of this that was like, you have to do what you're passionate about. And
Yeah.
so I mean, my Virgo moon really could have made, and Taurus sun
Anything work.
could have made it happen for sure. However, I was like, no, it needs to be something I love. And so I essentially released that and really, I had a message, like the message as I meditated, as I pulled cards, as I did things. It was like, just surrender and follow the breadcrumbs. And so, with everything that came up, so every offering from you, and really the crazy thing is it really was like all the breadcrumbs kind of came from you because it was like the classes I took from you, the people I met through your community, and all of this was lining up and I didn't even realize it until 2 years later when it was like, oh, you have an astrology business. You're an astrologer. Like it was like, wait, what? How did this happen? I didn't even realize. So, yeah.
It's so beautiful, like again, to reflect on a couple of things that you said, right? It's like sometimes we're coming into astrology because we want astrology to tell us what to do. And astrology isn't so black and white as that. And like, you know me, I'm never going to tell somebody what to do. Like you have to have that own agency to make your own choice. But like asking the right questions, like hearing the stars ask you the questions that kind of give you bumpers to make better decisions. Like that's one thing. But the other thing, right? Another thing that people come to asking a lot is like they just want the guarantee. If
Yeah.
I follow the astrology, I can see into the future. I'm going to see ahead of things. But like when you're talking about this idea of like dropping breadcrumbs, like you don't know where the breadcrumbs are going to lead. You can't see like the full picture. But if you can trust that, hey, if I follow the signs, each
Yeah.
step of the way, I'm going to end up where I'm supposed to be. Even if I have like a kind of a big picture idea, like you did, like I want to have a business that I'm passionate about. You
Yeah.
didn't know what it looked like yet. You just knew that it had to be passionate and like your
Mm.
stars, your intuition, follow the crumbs. And then you got there. And so that's what I want really people to understand about astrology. It's like there's no guarantees. and like, and I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Which is wise because I think if you do, like it can literally manifest in so many different
So
ways.
many, but and also like then you're giving your power away to me and I don't want your power. Like
Right.
that's not what this is all about. Like I want astrology, like I want you to have the tools at your disposal to have again that inner validation, that inner agency to make the decisions that are best for you at that moment in time.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's amazing. Well, I love that you went through all the certification. And so I know that you work with parenting astrology, which is different than like when we think about AstroBrand, it's like so much focused on your business, but finding your voice, finding your framework, finding your method. So how do you use like the AstroBrand method currently in your work?
Yes.
How do
Well,
you weave it? Because you have so many tools. Sorry.
I know there are. And really like AstroBrand, honestly, I would say AstroBrand, the AstroBrand method m- like shape how I actually do readings overall in general, regardless of what kind of reading it is, because so many of us want to understand like big picture things. We want to understand what am I supposed to be doing? How should I be doing it? What am I doing? And really AstroBrand really does shape all of that with the big four,
Yeah.
with really diving into the sun, moon, rising, and descendant. And so understanding those, even as I look at a child's chart, it really does like shape it because it allows, especially as I'm talking to a parent, I'm like, okay, this is potential that I see here. So you could nurture this aspect of your
Yeah.
child. And so yeah, I would say for sure it infuses in everywhere, but for sure I use it in the Wise Woman world because we do business coaching and then it's with another fellow. It's Christina, so it's a
Yeah.
certification, another certification student, and so yes, we we really do use it s- all the time. Like it does, it has shaped so much of our business.
That is amazing. When you think about like a client, like maybe like think about like one of your parents or one of like your business clients, like what has been like a impact that you have made for them with the method?
Oh, I mean, um, I think truly, it's funny because I think everybody comes in wanting to know um who their
For their
soul customer is.
customers,
Yes, it's
always.
always like that's the number one. Just tell me who I'm supposed to be talking to. And it's like, okay. And we're gonna make it so much easier for you because we're gonna tell you what you need to do instead of just how
Yeah,
to
everybody always wants to
who it
like
is.
skip to the end. It's like you
Yeah.
can't skip to the end. You're gonna like build on a house of cards if you just like know who your customer is and you're not prepared.
Right, right. Which does feel, I think everybody comes away from the AstroBrand method just feeling so much more settled because it's not like, oh, I have to build this avatar or I have to lead a certain way or I have to do this. Because at least that was my experience too. I mean, having a business before I learned astrology and the AstroBrand method with my sister, I can't tell you how many marketing books I read, how many podcasts I listened to, how many things I like business stuff I did, and trying to literally to a T do all of these different methodologies that was like not producing anything.
Yeah.
And so then when I did start to implement AstroBrand, the results absolutely happened. However, I felt so much more settled. I felt so much more clear. I felt so much more like aligned. And where before I was like, like hope and a prayer, hopefully this works. I want to see it just skyrocket. And yet, like the settled aspect of it feels like that's I mean, that's what they say in manifestation, right? It's like we want the thing, but really we want to feel the way we feel when we have the thing.
Hmm.
And I really think when it comes to business, we want to feel settled in what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I feel like AstroBrand does that because you're aligned with yourself.
Yeah. That's it's such a good point, right? Because like the AstroBrand method isn't like a one size fits all thing, like a lot of marketing books, right? It's like marketing books will be like, well, this method worked for me, so let me teach you this method, which is going to work for other people who have similar design. But when we look at our AstroBrand method and our own like kind of internal compass and like how we work, what our strengths are, what is that method that's already within us, like it's totally personalized and customized. And so it ends up being an infinite size like
Yeah.
all of these different options. And I know that people are always looking for the quick fix things, like one size fits all, quick, rich scheme, but it's like that's not this place of like becoming and feeling fully centered and grounded and loving who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually even that was liberating. I remember in one of our lessons, I remember asking a question. I don't remember what the question was about. I think it had something to do with branding. And you were like, I just I don't know how to tell you this, but you have a very selfish chart. I was like, it changed my life, Leslie. I was like, oh, permission to be selfish. And you were like, you need to put your face on things. You need to be your brand. And I was like, light bulb moment, because hello, that's so selfish, right? That's so ridiculous. How dare I?
Yeah.
What in the world
That's
would
what the
like,
church told you.
yes, oh, 100%, 100%. So it really was like liberating to be like, because guess what? Every business I've ever had, I've had my name in it, and I don't know why, but then at that point it was like, oh, of course I would. Of course I would.
That's beautiful. Well, you've been working with me now for several years, like really from the beginning and watching this method get put together from the ground up and getting clear and everything. But so having kind of reached that kind of final destination and gone through everything, what was like just like the this like your aha or like surprise or takeaway from like the certification process, which is a very deep, thorough
Yeah.
process?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, I would say it like the certification process was wonderful because it was like it felt like the most connective and like it was like we came together and we were unearthing and learning from each other. And I really have to commend you for that because it wasn't like we were coming and you had a lecture and you taught us things and it was like this means this and that means that. It was literally like we got to almost come in relationship with each other, with you and with the method and with all the planets and signs and charts, and it was just like we got to immerse ourselves into it. And so um it really deepened my confidence in myself and how to communicate with a chart. Honestly, it because I feel like there's so many books out there, there's so many astrologers out there that are like this means this and that means that, and it's like you could memorize
Mm-hmm.
so many things, but I feel like the certification process allowed me to actually like become in relationship
Yeah.
with the chart.
Yeah.
And it's been such a beautiful process because now that's how I do readings.
Yes.
I literally like communicate with the chart. I come
Yes.
into a relationship with the chart
Yes.
and therefore the person.
Right. And
So,
you're not having to like study, you're not having to like memorize. I mean, you know the things by heart and you're just able to interpret and like like I love what you said, communicate with the chart because you can hear the language that the chart is speaking to you
yes.
in.
Yes, 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 yes. And I will say that is just to give like a light switch moment is we from the certification, the mentorship aspect of it is incredible. And I remember we were meeting about the moon sign,
Mm-hmm.
and you and I have my moon in Virgo in the second house, and we were talking about money, and I kind of was essentially spiritual bypassing, honestly. I'm like, oh, but it's fine. It's fine. Like, and you were like, no, 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 let's talk numbers. Like, how much money do you need to be making in your business? How much do you charge for your readings? How many readings can you do to make that amount of business? And I don't know why I had never done that, but I was just like, I had just gone to the point that I was comfortable. As far as charging for my readings, I went to the point that I was comfortable at. And
Mm-hmm.
you were like, excuse me, no. And then the second thing is I was literally that Virgo mood of me. I was like preparing for like 5 hours before a reading. I kid you not.
I know
And
you
you were
were.
like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And it really was like the best permission to be like, April, you know this, stop it, stop it. And actually it has made my readings like so much better.
Yeah.
So go figure.
Oh my gosh. I love hearing that these kinds of takeaways in terms of like hearing, communicating with the chart, like tells me that you have found your voice with astrology, that like the AstroBrand method has helped you find your voice. But also, like through the mentorship, like I'm going to help y'all with your business models because
Yeah.
I'm not just an astrologer. I've been running a successful business for 20 years, and I want to make sure y'all are set up for success and not struggling because otherwise what's the point? I want you to have this return on investment from what you put in time, resources, heart, soul, all of it.
Yes, yes. And it's true. You did. And it changed. Honestly, that was a shift moment for me. And I refer back to that all the time because I was like, yeah, I was in I was in a meeting with Leslie and this is what you said to me. So I promise, like it like I can see my financial life changing at that moment. Like
Mm.
or not that I can see it, like it happened. Like I can pinpoint it to that moment.
Well, thank you for allowing me to get into your business, like literally like business. I
Yeah.
remember like talking even with Christina when you guys were like talking about like the finances of your retreat, and we started getting into it because she has that Taurus energy too, on her midheaven. And I was like, okay, money, y'all, like what's going on? Let's talk about this. And we like broke it down, and you're like, oh yeah, we are not like, oh yeah, we are. And I was like, okay. And that really shifted for you guys too.
Yes. Yes, it has. It really has. And we saw um really the beautiful shit. Oh my gosh, it's true. Like as I'm thinking timeline wise, because we finished the Astro branding certification last February, I believe.
The
February.
it was a little bit later. The training ended in February, but mentorship didn't start
That's
until
true.
fall. Yeah.
That's true. Okay. Well, everything shifted in the spring for us. And the conversation I had with you, I think happened in March.
Oh.
And then April, April, my Saturn was in my 10th, or not my Saturn, my sun, my solar seasons, my sun was in the 10th house, and I experienced the best month. I had 16 readings in April, which before I wasn't even like really scheduling anything. It opened me up energetically, and I just think like the it just came in, and I was able to do 16 readings in a couple of weeks, and I was like, this is amazing. I am also being like energized and fulfilled, and then everything just started to click, 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 and it has shifted for sure.
Mm. This is so beautiful. If we could like close up with just a final question in terms of, I think you've really already shared like just the way that you now see yourself now
Hmm.
that you've completed the certification. What has shifted for you?
Yeah, I would say for sure my confidence in myself and in me showing up well really in the claiming of being an astrologer. It was interesting for a long time because I came to you knowing literally nothing and then now feeling like oh Leslie, I feel like not but like almost like a peer. I almost like it's
Yeah,
I have a lot of
absolutely.
resistance saying that.
No, absolutely. We are all peers here. I'm nobody's
Oh,
guru.
right. As much as you don't know how much I put you on a pedestal, but but it's true. Like there, like it really did like solidify me in my confidence of like, oh, I am good at this. I do have some talent and skill and really just by putting in the work, honestly, by
Yes.
learning the things and really I do feel like following the breadcrumbs,
Yeah.
like allowing myself to things that didn't make sense. I mean, come on, I was literally a Mormon and it's like take all the astrology classes. I'm like, okay.
Risk persecution. Risk risk it all.
true.
Oh
It's
my
been
goodness. Well, thank you, April, for being with me on this journey and sharing your story towards AstroBrand certification. Could you share again where people can find you and your work?
Yes, yes. So, mostly on thewisewomanworld.com and then Instagram, The Wise Woman World, and then also I do some of my I still that Leo rising will probably never give up my own Instagram account. So,
Yep.
April Ascending is my other Instagram.
I love it. Thank you so much, April. And just thank you for being with me on this journey. Like, it's just been so beautiful to walk with you.
Oh, I'm here for it, Leslie. Here forever. You have a super fan. Let's just put it that way.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.